Welcome to the Podnas with Face, Pat, and Tiz.
And what's up, guys? Welcome to the Podnas, a show of three friends separated by distance, connected by brotherhood, having weekly conversations that you can join in and on. I'm gonna keep it. I don't care. But yeah, as always, I'm one third of the Partners. It's your boy Tiz, and I'm along with.
It's the other third of the Partners, the Padawan here, along with, because I'm gonna stutter too.
It's your boy Face in the place, and I'm in second place this week in the race.
Hey, but we gonna.
But he's steadily getting to the first.
Indeed. And this is episode 31. 31. If I said that right, I hope. So all my Latinx.
I think you did.
Hope I got that right. But yeah, man. How y'all doing this week, man?
We are good.
You me gusta? I mean, you bueno?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying stuff in Spanish. I'm still in Mexico. But yeah, anyway. For my first topic, man, I was looking at why, I don't know, but I was on the Shade Room and I saw they were like trying to cancel the Destiny Child song Cater to You. And it made me think, do y'all think that a woman should cater to her man? And also, do you think a man should cater to a woman? What are your thoughts on catering? And I ain't talking about getting good food.
You want to say
it all depends on the definition of cater to each individual. I mean, I feel like on the masses, those people trying to cancel their depiction of cater is like servitude or on bended knee, probably like that. But in the relationship and when you're in a deep relationship, cater to you could just be meaning like I'm there for you. What you need, I got you. Maybe something like that. Like I see you come home, I see you tired. Let me take care of this stuff. Let me just be considerate of you. You feel like that could be catered to you. We have a little thing, just looking at for the little things for you because I know what the little things mean to you. That could be catered to you. It doesn't have to be waiting on you hand and foot, making sure you got everything you need just because you say it. Nah, that's something totally different. That's subservient, not catered to you. I mean, catering to somebody could be, I'm gonna make sure I do this for you on your birthday. I'll make sure I do this for this day. That's catering to somebody. I mean, like, I feel like these days people are getting too sensitive, and I feel like in any relationship, if one person can cater to the other should be willing to cater to the opposite. You feel me? Like it should be a mutual thing, not just one person just always doing for one person. Because at the end of the day, people get complacent. They don't want the same thing.
Quick answer: yes and yes. The woman should cater to the man. The man should cater to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Long answer. I wish these people would stop finding stupid shit to rebel against and then put that energy into something that's worthwhile or whatever. Really? You're going to cancel a song? Just don't listen to the song. That's how you cancel it. Lower the streams. That's how you cancel it. You don't have to listen to the song. There's millions, billions, trillions of other songs out there. Go listen to classical music. That don't even have words up there. You can't even get offended.
They went as far as to compare the song to a slavery song.
It would be a slavery song if a slave sung it. Okay? This was a black woman singing it. When a black woman sings it, is a problem because they don't want to hear anything about a black woman being happy with a black man. Any other man, maybe.
That's a deep ass point you just hit there. Wow.
That's it. Stop. And you wonder why all y'all gonna be lonely for the rest of your life. Because you spend the rest of your energy on stupid shit.
Yeah.
And your feelings that don't even need to be there. There's other things to be worried about or whatever. There is totally other things to be worried about other than a song, man. Let the woman be happy in in the love that they have for the partner that they have for once, like just let them. Yeah, face threw me off with that face too.
Yeah,
but that's
what is he doing?
his face.
Grinning about. He's over there grinning.
I gotta be angry face all the time. I can't have a happy face. I'll be happy face this week.
That's the exact face he has when I drew that face. A face. That's his face that he makes. But yeah, man, stop being stupid. Put your energy into stuff that's worth it or whatever. Man, they try to abolish slavery and education or whatever. Focus on to that or whatever. That's slavery you should worry about. Not a song that's a woman appreciating their man for once. Like we don't, like we don't have a lot of, like we don't already have like a lot of those songs. We don't have those songs no more. It's more like, fuck that man.
I think both parties should cater, like Faye said, and I also think I think that when you tell a woman, or when you going against a woman saying she want to cater to her man, you violating women's rights.
Exactly.
If the women's rights movement is about a woman's right to be able to do whatever she deems necessary for herself or she deems fit for herself, and she's choosing to cater to her man, then what's wrong with that?
Nothing at all.
Like, is it nowhere in the song is are they saying the man is forcing them or even persuading them to do it? It's them saying that this is what I want to do for their. Let them do what they want to do for their man.
There's not one
I
lyric
love when
in
my
there.
wife catered to me. Shit. Cater
There's not one lyric that
the fuck
my
on.
man be beating my ass, but I'm gonna cater to him.
Right.
No, they don't have that in the song.
My baby beat my ass.
No, they don't have that in the song.
My baby beat my ass.
Nothing but the hits, y'all. Nothing but the hits.
And
I know he's beating my ass and he is cheating on me, but I'm gonna cater to him. I got dinner on Sunday. No, they're not saying that at all. They're not doing that to the man that doesn't. No, it's ridiculous.
Oh God, bro. Hell no.
They said it earlier. They said it on the live, man. The key to living a long life is minding your own business, and they're just killing their own selves with this BS. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no, that's real.
Yes, mind your own business.
Yeah, just mind your own business, man. And a big business that grew up as we grew up was the business of wrestling, sports entertainment, wrestling, professional wrestling, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, I've been watching a lot of these A&E biographies and Dark Side of the Rings lately on wrestling, and it just got me kind of feeling nostalgic. So as two fellow wrestling fans that you guys are, I want to just have a quick convo on some wrestling this week, man. Who is the best wrestler ever and why?
I'll let y'all go first.
All right. I can start off with, I would say my three favorites or whatever, and that would be Undertaker, Stone Cold, and The Rock or whatever. I feel like the Undertaker would probably be the best because he has the longest reign and he's as insanely unbelievable his storyline is. He's so good that in that moment you believe it. You believe that he came from fire and brimstone to whoop somebody's ass. Like the only time that I say it wasn't really believable was when he was the American badass riding around on a motorcycle, but I still kind of liked it because who doesn't like a motorcycle and then somebody is beating somebody's ass? Just bottom line.
That was one of my favorite interests on the game.
All right. And then the closer to that would probably be Stone Cold because it was just his era. He just he went from Brian Pillman to this. This is the archetype of, if you're not Undertaker, what a wrestler should act like and perform. And as far as story go, as far as like being one of those locker room leaders and stuff like that or whatever. And then as far as The Rock is more, I would say, more showmanship, pretty much. Like, he has the most ridiculous move ever, but it's just he got that showmanship. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot. I would say an honorable mention, it might be Hulk Hogan, but he said nigga, so fuck him.
So did Booker T. We coming for you, nigga.
One of the greatest moments in wrestling history.
I mean that, yo, that's up there with the what was the dude name? The dude that bust through the wall and fell. He had on the stormtrooper hat with the glitter on back in the day. Supposed to be Sting and Lex Luger partner, I think.
Was it WCW?
Yeah, that was WCW. It was like back in early WCW though. It was like it might have been before they changed the name to WCW. They might have still been Jim Crockett Promotions. Jim Crockett. But anyway, so my favorite wrestler, the best wrestler to me of all time is The Rock. When you talk about kayfabe, the fact that he was able to make such a move that was supposed to be a rib on the Undertaker into a finisher move that was sold by everybody. Like fans were marked out over that move. Like that's pretty. That is the epitome of what a wrestler should be able to do. It's up there with the Hogan leg drop. It's like, are you kidding me? But you that over that you can sell that, and the crowd go with it. I also think that as far as like athleticism, he's up there as far as like his overall skill set in the ring. Like he took bumps well. Like he could wrestle in any type of a match, whether it be a submission match, whether it be a hardcore match, whether it be just a technical wrestling match, whether it be just whatever, he could wrestle in it. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing he really couldn't do as far as types of matches he can make look good. And then obviously a big part of being like one of the best or putting your name up there, you gotta say like how over were you with the fans and how well were you able to like sell merch and sell out stadiums. And I think like he's top three, you know, it's him, Hogan, and Stone Cold as far as the three biggest box office wrestlers that we've seen overall. Like, you know, Ric Flair had his run in the South, but like when you're talking about like a global superstar type shit, them three, it's hands down them. So like when you got your name up there in the top three and you could put on any type of match and you were able to sell, like you were so deep in the kayfabe and such a good wrestler at selling. And that's pretty much what a wrestler is, the ability to act so well that you sell us on whatever you doing and make us believe it. And we believe that a damn slow ass elbow drop that barely touched the opponent was gonna knock everybody out. And if you kicked out, it was amazing. Elbow. You see what I'm saying? Like that is what wrestling is. So The Rock for me, and he black. So you know, you can call it what you want to call it, Samoan, black and Samoan, whatever, however you want to call it.
He's the highest paid actor. And
he's the biggest crossover success as far as leaving the WWE and being able to I think his name in outside arenas. So I think overall, The Rock, maybe that's my guy.
I think The Rock is like a bar, like how rappers they say, you know what, I want to reach Jay-Z status or whatever.
That's The Rock to me. He's the Jay-Z of wrestling.
Like if you are a wrestler coming up or whatever, your dream is to do like The Rock, basically. Like you don't have to do it exactly like him, but at least have like the same like achievements and success, pretty much. Just in general, I want to be in the movies and be the greatest action hero of all time too. Like, dude, better than Arnold Schwarzenegger right now.
Right. Go ahead, Faith.
Now, when we're talking about best wrestler ever and why, I look at it two different ways. 'Cause I got my favorite wrestlers, and I got my contender for the best wrestler ever. Now, my favorite wrestler is Sabu, pretty much ECW, came to WWE and whatever WWF, whatever you want to call it at the time, and did his damn thing. And we're doing it so well, it's like we can't have him here. Because he was gonna be a liability. He would hurt somebody because he go hard. And from the IWGP from Japan, the Great Muta. He was also in the WCW for a stint, especially with that crossover Japan and WCW stuff was going on big time. Him and Sting had that big rivalry. New Times, Undertaker, of course, I'm a real Undertaker fan, and low key Ric Flair fan. Now, best wrestler ever, I'm gonna go with Ric Flair. He spanned decades and generation of wrestlers. He's been wrestling with first through fourth generation wrestlers, you feel me, and still giving the same performance. Still hit you with the same moves. You really expect us to believe that damn near 80 years old, you really going toe to toe with the Big Show. You really see that, but you can sell it and still try to put that figure four on him and still try to do it. You feel me? Like he's been in several different brands. In NWA, the WCW, the WWE. I think he was in the AWA too. He went to Japan for a while. You feel me? So I mean, like Ric Flair, he put the time in. It had the WCW Heavyweight Championship, WWE Heavyweight Championship. I think he had the WCW Television Championship. I believe he had a Tag Team Championships as well. I believe he had the Intercontinental Championship for a little bit too, the WWE. And then like low key, Ric Flair do some things. He's been in a couple rap videos. He's like Ric Flair's a cult. Like he got a cult following. He feel like he may not be a big movie fan, but you ain't gonna go nowhere in the world and not know who Ric Flair is. I mean, if you see Ric Flair, you know who Ric Flair is. That's my contender for best wrestler.
Okay. When we're talking about wrestling, you know, a big part of wrestling is not just the individual, but also the group or the team. What is the best faction in wrestling ever? The best faction.
The best faction.
Can I have a question? Can we do the best faction and the funniest faction?
We can add funniest to it.
Okay.
You can give both if you want.
I'll go first. Yeah. The funniest was the Nation of Domination. They're the funniest faction.
Before or after Owen Hart?
With D'Lo Brown.
Nugget.
They're the funniest. Now the best, I mean, it's a toss up between like three factions for me for the best, and I can't really decide between these three. But you got the Four Horsemen, the original Four Horsemen, not the variations with Dean Malenko and all them. You
talking about with Tully?
Yes.
When Ole was still with him.
The original Four Horsemen. The Ministry of Darkness with the Undertaker and everybody. Before they started taking in all the randoms like Viscera and all them, like when he first had the core. And what's the other one? Another one from WCW. I think it was the Midnight Express. They belonged. Midnight Express belonged to him, but it was a bigger faction. You feel me? Like you had Rick Rude was with him, the Midnight Express, and a couple other dudes with him. I forgot that faction name, but that was a great faction too. So like,
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
Midnight Express, I do remember that name though.
No, that was a tag team, but they was a part of this group, and it was like a bunch of like all of the heels in one of them like Southern wrestling promotions.
And
but it was like some heavy hitters in that shit.
Big boys.
Damn, I can't. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
So them my three factions right there, man. Like each individual thing in their time, and something like the original Four Horsemen, they was like styling and profiling. They were the definition back then of what a faction should be. progress a little bit forward. The other faction I'm talking about from the WCW with the Midnight Express and Rick Rude, they was in their time what a faction should be with the outside interference, holding each other down. They had multiple titles in the faction. You feel me? They was holding all the gold. And then you move forward to the Ministry of Darkness. Undertaker has a crew. So I mean, like,
yeah,
and it was all on the same wavelength as him. That's just some cool shit right there. Like, you got all the darkness right there. Like, he was drinking niggas up on the cross. He kidnapped Stephanie.
Yeah, they was wilding. They was wilding, yo. Okay. Let me think. I can't remember the name of them, but the funniest to me is that group that had when the Giant first came out, and they had the Yeti, and they had the Chain Gang, and they had Earthquake. They had like all of these. They had Brutus the Barber Beefcake as the Zodiac, Kevin Sullivan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Taskmaster and all that shit. The Dungeon of Doom, was that it?
Yeah.
Was it the Dungeon of Doom? The Dungeon of Doom was the funniest to me when they had them big niggas and they were just shaking on Hulk Hogan. They was like, that shit was like the lowest moment in wrestling to me. Like, I was like, yo, that was when you knew, like, if something don't change in wrestling, everybody about to start watching this shit. Cause it was like getting to the point where, like, even as like I think me and Faze at this point, we may be in like, what's that, like 9th grade or 8th, 9th grade or something like that, somewhere in that range. But like all of the kids that grew up on Ultimate War and all that shit, like we waking up now. So like, hey, man, what the fuck is this? These niggas is gyrating on this dude trying to act like they hurting him. Like, no, you just shaking up. You was dry humping this man, sir. The fuck? That is not a finisher. So like when it got to that point, like it was like it was. I feel like that faction set the stage for us to get factions like the Blue World Order and the Oddities, where you just got weird shit going on just for the sake of weird shit, because we accepted that bullshit from them with the fake smoke and this weird cave backstage and just dumb stuff that we accept. We accepted a Yeti that was really a big man and wrapped in toilet paper. Like, it was just like, what were we doing? Like, come on. So, like, that was the funniest to me. And then, like, the best faction to me, even though it didn't last very long, was the original New World Order. Because they set the stage for the Attitude Era. They set the stage for us for ECW to finally get accepted. Not that ECW wasn't already there, but ECW took off because the infusion of people that wanted to see realism came from the NWO when they first happened, when it was the Outsiders and Hulk Hogan had first got announced. After that, when they started bringing in Rick Rude and Virgil and like all of these, like they were just bringing in anybody that had left WWF ever, it just became convoluted. But like that first iteration when it was just them three and they just had that first commercial with new world order. Like I remember sitting there, and it was the first time we had saw live wrestling too, where like the story was unfolding live and you really didn't know what was going to happen no more. So like I remember sitting on the phone and we'd be on them, you know how like back in the day, you would have like 30 people on the phone on like everybody got on three-way. So everybody just be on the phone talking, but we used to be watching wrestling and shit. And I remember sitting on the phone with a face like, man, look at that shit. That's Razor Ramon. He on the and flipping back and forth between USA and TNT to see like, yo, hold on, why is he over here? Like I remember and I remember like you legit didn't know what was happening because the Montreal Screwjob had just happened. And Razor and Diesel had just left. You had the fake Razor and Diesel going over in WWE. So you was like confused as hell what the fuck is going on? Oh, this is the real. So this, they for real. Like it brought a whole new level of realism to it. Like So like, and after that, then you got Stone Cold and his feud with Bret Hart kicking off shit over in WWE, where we started seeing more of that. The Shotgun Saturday Night kind of helped the spot there, but like, yeah, that first iteration of NWO, I feel like just their impact and the way they completely changed the way people looked at wrestling from a all around standpoint. The way wrestling was produced changed because of that, because WWE had to change its format to keep up with Nitro at that point. Like it was like it started the Monday Night Wars. Like it was the reason we wrestling looks and feels the way it does right now started when Sky Hall came out and said, "I got a big surprise coming for y'all." And nobody knew he was talking about Kevin. Like that first iteration of NWO was like the coolest faction ever, because it was like these, you legitimately felt like these dudes can really take over the whole wrestling game. Like they are for real. They just coming in beating people up. All right, I like this. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I'll say I do agree with the NWO as like one of the greatest factions. And my favorite faction, and I feel like might be one of the funniest factions, is the Generation X. Like that, they had everybody in the school just doing this and telling people, and the teachers didn't know what was going on. Right? If you didn't like them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if you ain't know nothing about wrestling, you still walk around doing this and stuff like that, which was an X, and everybody was into X.
You got two words for you.
Or whatever. And it was awesome. People still do it to this day. Like just because of that, like that's how I found out about the Generation X or whatever. Like, where the hell did he get that from? I know I seen that. And then went back into looking into wrestling again or whatever. I was like, oh, gotta keep up. Pretty much. But yeah, their antics, they're hilarious. And they were around Norfolk one time, and I respect that.
Oh yeah, when they had the tank
and the scope. And they invaded that was when they invaded WCW, because they were at the scope in Norfolk. Whatever. Around. But yeah, those the two memorable factions. And anytime Undertaker was in something, because who's gonna stop?
Undertaker was that guy. This is my next one. What is your favorite wrestling moment, or the moment that when you first watched wrestling that made you become the fan you are today? So it might not have been the very first moment you ever saw a wrestling match, but when you first saw wrestling and looked at some on wrestling that made you be like, yo, I'm a fan now. I want to watch this going forward.
I'm too old to remember that moment. I've been watching wrestling since the early 80s. So I can watch TV, I don't watch wrestling.
Or it could be your favorite wrestling moment ever too. So it could be
your wrestling moment is when Undertaker threw Man Cage on the top of the Hell in a Cell.
Oh damn! Yeah, I think that's everybody.
You talking about the first one where he fell off the side, or the choke slam through the cage?
Fell off the side.
Oh, okay.
Off the side. Yeah. I knew it was off the side.
The planned one.
My close second is a close second is when Shawn Michaels called Shelton Benjamin with that sweet chin music, when Shelton Benjamin was in mid-air jumping at him off that rope.
Yeah.
That was a loud pop. And I ain't talking about applause.
You know why I know that's one of his favorites? Because when at one point in time in the game, he switched to a sweet chin music kick so he could start randomly kicking people.
Out of nowhere. I'll give both of mine. The first moment that made me start watching wrestling like that was when I first saw Ultimate Warrior. So like as a kid growing up, like I saw wrestling all the time because, as a kid in Virginia, like wrestling would come on late at night on 3 out of the 4 channels you had on Saturday and Friday and Saturday night. Like it would just come on and it would be random promotions. So it'll be like you would see like WCW, you would see WWF, you would see at that time WWF, you would see like some random Smoky Mountain or some of them mountain wrestling joints, and then you would see some other random joints, like you would get an ECW or whatever. So it was like back, especially in the 80s, like every Friday, Saturday night wrestling was on. So I stayed watching it, but the first moment that really got me into it was when Ultimate Warrior came out, and I don't know what it was about the face paint or whatever, but like actually used to get me hyped when I used to run to the ring, and I'd be like, oh, and I'd be ready to body slam the shit out of something for no reason. Like he actually used to hype me up, and then after that, I just got into it. I remember he had that feud with Papa Shango, and then Papa Shango put the spell on him, and then he was spitting up that shit, and and then it was another episode that kind of stuck me into it. It was when Undertaker was feuding with Hulk Hogan. And I remember, I think it was like Hulk Hogan's hand got stuck in the casket. His hand, like they shut the casket on Hulk Hogan's hand, and he was dragging the casket with it. And his hand was locked in that thing. And I don't know why, but like them two moments just make me, I remember just like, yo, I love the storytelling of like this. Like it was just intriguing to me as a kid. Like, oh shit, how you gonna get his hand out there? Oh, how he gonna fight? Because now his hand gonna be broken. And I just fell in love with the kayfabe of it, of like how they told these stories. That was like over the top, but for some reason, like they were able to make me as a kid believe it. Ultimate Warrior, I never understood one promo he ever did, but that was my favorite wrestler. So that's what.
And the Ultimate Warrior live in the hearts of.
And my favorite moment ever.
Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior.
The moment of all moments, I guess, would be when Stone Cold Steve Austin won the King of the Ring, and he had beat Jake the Snake, and he said, "You come in here and you talk about your John 3:16, well, Austin 3:16 said, I just whipped your ass," and the way he said it, I just was like, "This is fucking awesome." Yes. And, you know, and you becoming like a teenager, so like at that age, like you know, you've been new curse words and you might have said them here once, but at that point now you just cursing up a storm behind your parents' back. So now it's like, oh, these niggas talking like me now. Oh shit. Oh, it's getting real. And he was sitting there with the busted lip, and he had to come back from the hot. Like I just remember that moment was like, oh, now wrestling is hard. Now it ain't gonna be like, yeah, it ain't like, I remember at that moment, like it became cool to be a wrestling fan. It wasn't like people looked at you like, oh man, you still a little kid, you watching wrestling. It was like, oh no, everybody watching wrestling now. Like this shit hard. Like, so it was
that's the moment they said started the Attitude Era too.
Yeah.
That moment right there.
It was definitely either that or the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels feud when Shawn Michaels was talking about sunny days and shit. It was somewhere around there too. When he got called, he got called a degenerate, because that's what the Generation X came from. And then he was like, you know, I want you, and Vince supposedly said, I want you to come out there and give us some more of that attitude. And then that's where the Attitude Era came from. But anyway, but yeah, around that time, it like all of that shit was happening at the same time. It was like NWO was already out and they were like just starting.
Oh,
and
that could have probably been
a defining moment. On WWE, you had Stone Cold finally ending the feud with Bret Hart. He was coming into his own with the King of the Ring, and then he made that statement. And you had Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, who was having their little feud or whatever. And then you had the Montreal Screwjob, which exposed Vince McMahon and made him a villain. So now you had like, it was like all of those things culminating within like a few months of each other. So it was like, boom.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Who do you think is the most influential person in wrestling history?
To me, I feel like it's between Hogan and Stone Cold, because Hogan has his own era and Stone Cold kind of defined the Attitude Era.
I heard what you said though. He said person.
Personally,
I caught that. Who's the post?
He said personally.
No, he said the most influential person.
Oh, person.
I got what he's saying now. I would say either Dusty Rhodes or Vince McMahon. I feel like Dusty Rhodes is probably the most one of the most influential as far as bridging the gap between the South, the Midwest, and Northern wrestling. And he also had a hand in so many of the bigger matches that kind of shaped the course of wrestling history. Whether it be as a booker helping to create the finish behind the scenes, or whether it was as the actual wrestler in the program. But I think Vince McMahon is probably the most influential because
True.
he gave us what is modern day wrestling. You don't get what wrestling looks like today. You don't get people doing a lot of the moves. You don't get a lot of that without a lot of the moves that Vince McMahon made. You don't even get the production value of. You don't get to fill arenas like that without Vince McMahon, because he was able to bring so many territories together and have so many talent. He could run 3 shows. And when you got that much talent, you're now appealing to such a big audience. Now you can start to go for pay-per-view rights, and you can start to, you know what I mean? So like his business model kind of set the stage to make it so that wrestling could be big time, and appeal to a global market. He brought wrestling to people who had never watched wrestling before with the rock and wrestling era in the 80s by fusing it with MTV and, you know, putting it with Cyndi Lauper and like all of those strategic moves. Like wrestling ain't as big as it is right now. Like it literally used to be, you would get clowned for being a wrestling fan because it was like a niche market. It was like, it wasn't everybody out there thinking that it was a cool thing. Vince McMahon kind of put it to a broader audience and allowed it to be like, now it was a mainstream thing that was like, it was normal. It wasn't weird. It was like, it was as easy as drinking Coca-Cola. You know what I mean?
True. Well, as far as like the most influential person, out of my, because I would say I am not as versed as maybe other people with wrestling or whatever. I just like who I like when I see it or whatever. Like my friend Twin could probably tell you the whole history of wrestling, pretty much. And same thing with my brother Sean or whatever. But man, I can't even disagree with anything Ted said, man, because like Vince is probably the main reason why I know anything about wrestling. If anything, like that's the main person I know. Like I really don't know anybody that runs WCW. Like I knew about Vince or whatever. Like Eric Bischoff or whatever, they're influential. I would say he's an influential person. Arn Anderson or whatever. Like some of the background people, whatever. Like Theodore Long, whatnot.
Teddy.
Yeah, like
Teddy.
Yeah, like I definitely say he was the most influential, one of them at least. And I don't know. I'm just throwing out the names that I know that really did a lot of business in there. And Heyman, Paul Heyman.
Paul
Heyman, because he had ECW, and he talks the greatest shit as far as like a promoter. Like
the Dangerous Alliance, great faction.
That was the name of it. That was the name of it. It was the Midnight Express about it.
The Dangerous Alliance.
I didn't say my favorite wrestling moment. I would say my favorite wrestling moment is the Royal Rumble, where Stone Cold is just sitting at the turnbuckle and waiting for somebody to come out. So that's like, all right, you got like 30 more people to run through. You just chilling. Like, come on, wait. Like that's one of my favorite. The one when anytime Triple H do something to him and he gets his revenge. And like you're just waiting to see how he's gonna get his revenge. Like when he got put in the hospital and at one time he yoked somebody up from the ceiling. like, you know how the ceiling has like the boards, you can move somebody up. And next time I saw one wrestler and he looked up and he got yoked up into the ceiling. Whatever. I was like, oh, Stone Cold is coming. Stone Cold is coming. And anytime when there's a bunch of wrestlers, like battle royale, in the middle of the ring, everybody's just fighting, and then Stone Cold comes out and just clears the ring. That is my favorite moment. My favorite moment, just come through and just Stone Cold stun everybody. And then whenever a wrestler do another wrestler's move, when Stone Cold did rock bottom on Rock and Rock did stunner on Stone Cold, I was like, this is the greatest disrespect I have ever seen in my life. Yes, do this. But yeah.
Speaking of favorite moments and Stone Cold though, if you know out there, wrestling fans, because this time you gotta ask yourself, is it live or is it Memorex? And when Stone Cold had paged The Rock, and it was a video of Stone Cold talking to The Rock, so The Rock was sitting there looking at the Titantron and his pager, and Stone Cold had snuck up behind him in the ring and started shit out. Oh man, like yo, that feud between them two
was great. Awesome.
When they first started beefing, oh man, yo,
most awesome.
Classic. And the chopper your pee-pee.
My most influential person is Jim Ross.
This is a slobber knocker.
I can see that. He'd been involved in both of the biggest promotions and some of the smaller ones along the way. Yeah.
Him and Lawler.
Lot of development of characters and wrestlers gimmicks and stuff. So yeah, I can see that.
It's no Stone Cold without Jim Ross.
A lot of low-key big moves on Jim Ross' part, man. Even when after he came back with the little thing with his face.
The Bell's Palsy.
That thing. People who watch, please don't think I was doing it to make fun of anything. I just couldn't think of the name, but I can do it. It looks like when you have the condition. So that's what I did. Not to make light of the situation at all. That's not what I do. But yeah, that's my most influential person. But to move on.
Oh, Face, before you move on, worst wrestler ever, Enzo Amore with Enzo and Big Cass. I love that team because they had like they were hilarious to me or whatever, but Enzo Amore has no wrestling skills at all. His skill is Big Cass throwing Enzo Amore on the wrestler, and then that's how they win. But they were funny, and I like watching them. But he was the worst wrestler ever. All right, I'm done.
I got one to beat that. Barry Horowitz.
Who?
Barry Horowitz. Pat himself on the back like this.
Oh, look at this nigga.
The most losses.
Bro.
Yeah, he had a streak going on it.
So he had
like
the most matches.
No, the worst wrestler ever was the Brooklyn Brawler.
You said the Brooklyn Brawler?
Yeah.
That's the worst
wrestler
ever.
That was the worst name ever.
The Brooklyn Brawler. He just came to the ring looking dirty.
Oh shit. But I'm gonna go ahead and go to my man lost for this week.
Okay.
My man lost this week.
Man law.
They gonna focus on hygiene. You know, man law number one for this week, man. Clean your balls daily.
Yeah.
No smoky balls. Man, let's start it off right. Number 2, shower or bathe at least once a day.
Well, if you're cleaning your balls anyway, you might as well.
I mean, hey, sometimes
We
you gotta
hit
let them know.
everything else.
You gotta go in detail. Sometimes, I'm out here on track, and I ain't no time. It's always time to wash your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Always time to wash your ass. It's 24 hours in a day. You can't find 10 minutes to wash your ass. 5 minutes. Take a military shower. Just get it in.
Wash that ass. Wash that ass. You can't even take a monkey bath. Wash that ass. Wash that ass.
Number 3. I may be wrong on the timeline per actual dentist, but change your toothbrush every 2 weeks.
Damn. You gonna have
Don't keep using that old stank yellow
2 weeks.
toothbrush.
But yeah, don't be using no nasty toothbrush.
Don't use
rubbing
no
dirt
nasty
back in your
toothbrush,
mouth.
man. Like I said, I may be wrong on the timeline as far as what a dentist will tell you, but when it starts to turn and you start losing bristles and
the bristles be like bended and folded.
Your bristles
the bristles be looking like the I don't know emoji. I don't know.
Bristles just waving in the wind and whatnot.
I don't know.
Number 4 hits harder in the summer months and the hotter days. Use deodorant daily. Please make sure you get your entire armpit. Don't just get the middle. Get your entire armpit. Make sure you know how to put deodorant on right. Whether you use a spray or roll on or a stick. Make sure you apply deodorant on daily.
Know the difference between deodorant and antiperspirant. They are not the same product, people.
No.
They do 2 different things, hence why they're called 2 different things.
Yes. Yeah. Now, number 5, know how to wash your hands correctly. Nasty asses. So many times I go to public restrooms and I see people use the bathroom and walk right out. You're nasty.
Your hands got doo-doo on them. You got doo-doo dust on your hands.
Wiping their ass after using the bathroom and going to the store and touching shit, spreading fecal matter everywhere. Nasty shit. Wash your hands.
Doo-doo dust.
Wash your hands correctly.
Doo-doo dust by anus.
Number 6. May sound like but I know people who've done other things. Wipe your ass with tissue. Nothing else.
What?
Don't use newspaper. Don't use paper towel.
Okay, I was like, what? I was like, what else are people using out here? Like picking up porcupines, wipe your ass? Like, why?
I know people that use wet wipes and stuff.
Yeah. Shirts, paper towels, newspaper.
Why'd you using shirts? You can't flush no shirt. You throwing shitty shirts into your trash?
Shit.
Don't throw shitty shirts into your trash, people.
Life is hard, man. Dang.
It ain't that hard, goddammit.
Now, all of these man laws culminate into number 7. And just basically learn good grooming habits, man. Grooming and hygiene is very important. If you're looking to get a woman in your life, especially, but just to be healthy, man, good grooming habits and good health hygiene is vital to good health. Learn how to do it, man. If you don't know, Google that shit. Everything else on Google. I mean, just ask somebody. Shit, if you ain't had no male figure in your life, man, ask another dude. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If I got a question about something, I ain't got no problem calling my little brother about that shit, and vice versa. So I mean, hey, you gotta let your pride and ego go. You feel me? If you need a question, you got a question, ask that shit, man. Get an answer. But learn good grooming habits. If you don't know what type of deodorant or antiperspirant to put on or what you need, shit, ask somebody. Ask the pharmacist. They can let you know. They can help you out, man. They ask you what you come in here for. What are you looking for this product to do for you? You feel me? Like if you can answer those questions intelligently and let them know what you need, they'll point you in the right direction. You feel me? So learn some good grooming and hygiene habits. And that's all the Faces Man Law for this week, man.
Hey. Man law.
We need that echo from earlier.
We had to get them off early, man. What you got for us, Pat?
I was talking to my brother Actually, my brother has a tendency on from time to time when he's thinking about stuff, and probably like maybe watching YouTube videos, or like he might watch one of our videos or whatever, and then have something in his head, and then he'll just randomly call me or whatever, and then he's like, you know what? I got an idea. I've been thinking about this too. So he was like, this is a way that DC Comics can work on their cinematic movie process or whatever. Because lately, they have, of course, they have great ideas. They're a world famous comic book business, pretty much, and publishing company or whatever. But their performance, or how should I say, the way they pull it off is just not, it's not clicking, pretty much, or whatever. Like they have a better success rate with their animated videos than they do with their live action videos, action movies, whatever, which is actually pretty crazy considering that movies in general, like cinematic movies in general, where they're reaching the theaters or whatever, accumulate more money, but they're way better as far as their animation than it is in the cinematic. So my brother, he basically like ran some ideas, and I felt like as he was talking, I was like, you know what? I've been kind of thinking the same thing myself. I just really hasn't. DC Comics ain't owned by me, so I ain't really think about it that further. But the first thing we discussed was they need to just stop trying to follow Marvel's model of making movies. Like they're
Amen.
Just stop it. Just totally stop it. Marvel has a formula that they have been working on for like years, and you can't just come out of nowhere and just try to build a universe or whatever, and then just do random stuff out of the blue. I feel like they don't have enough control over like getting their actors, keeping their actors, whatever, and just having an organized plan of like what movies is next. It's just like, I feel like they like throwing darts on a board and say, let's do this next, pretty much. But they just need to do that. The way that my brother said that they could pull this off is they could just get their major stories that they have, like Batman has like the Long Halloween, or the Infinity Crisis storylines and stuff like that. They just have those big stories and just make movies out of that, because we already seen Batman's origin 50,000 times. We already seen.
Yeah, I don't need to see another origin story, because you ain't gonna do better than the Dark Knight trilogy. So
yeah, so they should just pull off the storylines that really push the book itself, and just make those into movies or whatever. Just separate movies into themselves. They don't have to be in the same continuity, because for real, the difference between DC and Marvel is their timeline. Like DC don't have a timeline. Their stories are random. They get a writer, they write the storyline. They just now getting into a mode where they're trying to write things into a continuous storyline or whatever. Like if you read a Batman comic book or whatever, you're just reading Batman's story. It almost feels like he's in his own universe. It don't got nothing to do with anything else or whatever.
Right.
Like, and that's all the way up until like damn near the 2000s and whatnot. So they don't have a history of having an organized timeline to pull off something that Marvel did. Marvel, I don't know how they did it, but they got an organized timeline of like when crisis and certain events happen in their universe or whatever.
You know what they did? Marvel didn't release too much information too early in the movie. So when they did a precursor to some character that was coming, they didn't give too much away. With DC, you could have gave me that Joker was in this universe and not had nothing about Robin being dead, not had nothing about him having like, it was so much that you didn't have to give me if you weren't going to actually use him in a bigger way. So now, like, I'm not expecting certain things. Like there was no expectation with Marvel. It was always just wonder. Like they showed some stuff on the map. You didn't know if that was gonna ever lead anywhere. You just knew what them spots was on that map and was like, ooh, I wonder what they're gonna do with that.
Are they gonna bring up Wakanda?
Right, but it made it so that whatever they brought up involving that, you could roll with it because you didn't have too much information to go with.
Mm-hmm.
They left themselves that open canvas of and template that they could fill in later, as opposed to DC. I feel like because Marvel was already established when they started their universe, they're trying to play catch up fast instead of doing that slow burn. Like they forget it took what, almost 10 years to get to the first Avengers movie.
Yeah,
that was set up way back in Incredible Hulk, and it took us 10 years to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, take your time, build your world out, release your movie slow like Marvel did. Take your 3 years between each movie and make us wait for it, because the payoff at the end of it is like, give us time to care. Don't try to force it on us. Just give yourself room to build them stories out.
And once again, I think the main reason why Marvel can do that, and we're good at doing that, is because they have an organized timeline. And I think with DC, they have so many random stories that don't collide on with each other to actually try to build a universe or whatever. You just know Batman is in a city that's close to somewhere in the universe that Superman is in.
Right. There's no overlap for real.
No overlap at all. So in all the other previous Batman movies, there's no existence of Superman for real at all. So I would say if they want to continue in the universe building, pretty much, they just need to leave Snyder on that mission and just let him build that, because he seems to be real good at building that. And then if you want other movies to come out off to the side, just go ahead, have a Batman Long Halloween, have a Death of Superman or whatever, even though they kind of already did that with Snyderverse, but they could still probably do another version of it. Or like you can make just random Wonder Woman movies in general, because Wonder Woman is like her story is a universe on its own. So and she lived longer than
she's like the Thor of that. She's like the Thor of that world. Like there's a whole other mythos that you can follow with that.
Yeah, exactly. And like and just be careful with your characters. You can't just like throw Ryan Reynolds in some CGI or whatever just because he's the hot actor at that time and try to pull off like some 2-second movie. Like Green Lantern looked like a movie that came out in the 90s or whatever.
Yes, it does.
That it looks just like that. Like I would be more entertained watching Meteor Man than watching Green Lantern.
Meteor Man was an amazing movie.
Yes, and it is an amazing movie, and amazing actors, amazing directors, and everything. But with the money that DC Comics have, with the directors they're supposed to have, in the 2000s, I shouldn't be looking at Meteor Man and saying this is better than a DC Comics character or whatever. I feel you. Like I shouldn't.
Big fact.
Now I'm all for Black excellence or whatever, and that just could be a count to Black excellence in general or whatever. But still, you got a head start way above what Robert Townsend has. He don't have a comic book company. He made that story up on the fly.
Big facts.
Pretty much. Like that's like me coming out with God like, and it does better than any DC Comics movie. God, please let that happen. Bring that.
I was gonna say, let's speak that into existence.
Or whatever. So yeah, like those are some of the ideas that we had to go along with it, because I like Batman personally. I think if when Superman is written right, and in general, like I've had read Superman stories, And mind you, I don't like Superman as a character. I think he's a boring character. He's a
You know what
character.
the problem with? That's the problem with DC. You can't have Superman part of it. See the issue with Superman is you can't have a character that's invincible as your hero. You can have that as your villain, but people don't want to. The people can't relate. You want people to be able to relate to a hero, and it's hard to be vulnerable when you're basically impervious to pain. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can kill anything. So how do I relate to you? What is like with Iron Man? We can clearly see you got substance abuse. You got a problem with women. You got connection issues. You got daddy issues. With Captain America, you were the little man trying to fight against the bully. So that's where your kind of stance come from. You trying to do right. You done lost a lot of people over the years because of time. Like you, in each of these characters, you got like some type of vulnerability. Like you can die. So at the end of this, when you're going into battle, it's stakes there. It's like, I don't know if you're going to make it out alive. That's what made the Avengers so hard, because all of them could die.
I think
when you get Superman, it's like, you're going to die and come right back. I can't.
That's why the death of Superman, when that comic came out, made so much money or whatever, but it was inevitable because that Superman would come back, because you just can't kill off a character like that. That's just business wise, that's financially stupid. That's like Disney killing off Mickey Mouse. You just can't do that.
Facts.
If I was to write Superman or whatever, like the best stories I have is like that I've seen is like when you can relate to him, like you said, Tiz. And I would like more start them off as a child and just build on the part that you're an alien, you're different, you're alienated against, you're the outcast or whatever, because people can relate to that. I know I can or whatever. And then just the simple fact that an outcast can bring hope to the world or whatever, build on that. Right. in general. I feel like even in the current Superman movie, they didn't give enough time to build on that like part of them. So
you never get that vulnerability. Like that's what makes a hero, like you able to relate to their vulnerability and relate it to something in your life. Can't relate to a perfect person.
Yeah, like they don't. I feel like the Superman shows do better because you get a constant build of him and his personality and him becoming a superhero, pretty much, because people can relate to that. But as far as a movie, if we were to do a Superman movie, he has to be against God.
With Superman, you can't make it about his powers. You got to make it about the boring part of Superman, the Clark Kent side. If you make it about him battling these crazy creatures, like his powers got to be utilized for him to live everyday life without people finding out his identity and him being able to navigate that world. That's what made that Superman series with the dude Dean Cain. That's what made it popular, because it was like he was using his powers against villains, but the villains weren't like these crazy superpower heroes. It was like these regular people. But the powers weren't even the main part of the story for that week. It would be about him trying to do something for Lois some regular old husband or boyfriend type shit. But because he's Superman, it made it more difficult. So how does he navigate his way to get that still done? And when you focus on that, it makes it more relatable to the everyday person.
All right, 2 comic books that does that. And I would say they need to, like, Superman writers need to like look at the page out of that book or whatever. Spider-Man does that well. Matter of fact, that's the main reason why Spider-Man is popular, because he's a regular guy and he's trying to do a whole lot and still showing like he has a regular life. At the same time, broke as heck paying bills and stuff like. Even though in the comic books he actually got to a point in his older age where he got a company. And one thing I like, how I like beefs between superheroes? Spider-Man does not like Iron Man. He thinks he's he thinks he's an egotistical bastard, so which he is. I just like, I don't know, it's one of those things. And then
makes their relationship in the MCU even more funny.
Yes, exactly. Because he do nothing but wisecracks all the time. So pretty much. Yeah. And Wolverine bullies Spider-Man all the time, even though Spider-Man could whoop Wolverine's ass when he wants to. So yeah. But the what was it? The other comic book, Invincible. Like Invincible is well, they got the cartoon out on Amazon right now. I told you about. If y'all haven't watched it yet, trust me, y'all be totally entertained, pretty much, or whatever. But it actually shows the character Mark Grayson, that's named Invincible, that's a superhero name, like struggling first to actually get his powers or whatever, and then struggling to actually be a superhero or whatever, because superhero being a hero itself is not just jumping into action and then just beating up somebody or whatever. Like there's like, if you do something the wrong way, okay, you punch somebody in the building, it was people in that building. Now you done injured someone. So he had to learn that.
Action,
When they write Superman, there's no consequences. Like there's not really a consequences. Snyder was good at that and as building that up as a reason why Batman was mad at him in the movie or whatever. But like, yeah, it just didn't need to be more consequences, more real life situations for him when he's being wrote or whatever.
That's real. Right.
And then Justice League movies and Green Lantern movies should all be like Star Wars. They just need to be big like that. Because there's no point of even like watching Justice League or whatever. We know you're gonna beat all the like lame villains that come from Earth. You need somebody bigger, like whatever.
Cosmic level shit,
yeah. But yeah, that's my rant on DC. Do better, DC. Do better.
Do better.
And have more original black characters, man. Well, we don't need black Superman. We don't need black Batman. Just hey. I got some characters. I'm not gonna use them. I'll let you
pitch that shit. Pitch that shit, fat.
And if y'all don't use them, I'm probably gonna end up using them.
Let's go.
That's my topic for the week, y'all.
Right on. Well, anybody got a black business for this week?
Oh, you know what? I do. Matter of fact, let me bring that back up here. I want to shout out to Exalt Recordings in the Matriarch Gallery, because they're the ones that when I needed like a steady place to have my podcast or whatever, I had a nice little vibe out there. So, and they're still doing their thing on Mallory, on Hampton, in Hampton, Virginia, whatever. You can go in, you got a full package. They rent out the space if you want to do events and stuff like that. And yeah, man, you can get tatted up and record your song.
There you go.
What can you say?
One-stop shop for you rappers out there. But yeah, man, support black business, support us, the Podnas. You can support, the easiest way you can support without spending any money is by just, as you're listening to this, as you're watching this, like, comment, share, subscribe. Do those things. You're already helping us more than you know. And that is immensely getting us toward our end goals here. As well as if you want to support financially, you can donate as little as $1 to our Buy Me a Coffee, or you can sign up for a membership by going to buymeacoffee.com/thepodnas. You can also sign up for the same type of membership for as little as $5 on patreon.com. It does come with other perks. You get every episode of our podcast fully unedited, uncensored, uncut. You get everything that is cut out plus the actual show. You get access to our Discord. So if you want to actually hit us up outside of the podcast and actually interact with us throughout the week, you can do that. We're going to have members only events as soon as we get members. But yeah, we're gonna have members only events where we watch the fights together, watch movies together, do play games and shit, but basically just have interactions outside of the normal YouTube and podcast app spaces. And then that is how you can support financially. You can also go to $partner1, $partner1 if you want to send us a cash app. So Pat, if they want to you know what I'm saying, get something where they can talk to us outside of the podcast spaces, outside of the YouTube spaces, how would they find us, Pat?
At THEPODNAS. That's the Podnas. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok now. And you could put that in the search on Facebook. You'll find us there. Tis Face Pat are the Podnas.
Indeed, indeed. And if you do want merch, you can always go to the Podnas Closet. That's teespring.com/stores/Podnas-closet-1. That's teespring.com/Podnas-closet-1. Or if you want to find all of our information on how to get to our closet, how to get to our videos, how to get to our podcast weekly, how to see our live shows, go to thepodnas.com. That's thepodnas.com. And you can find everything there. It's a one-stop shop. As always, man, I am 1/3 of the Podnas. It's your boy Tiz, along with
the other third of the Podnas, the Padawan here. And
episode 31, and Faces in the place, trying to stay ahead of the race. And we are up out this thing with the bang.